Okay, this is Clogs Part 2. I kind of got into a jam and messed up the last video. What happened was I was making all my bases, and I put too much glue on the bottom of the bases, and I don't know if you can see this or not, but when you put too much glue on something, it gives you that sheen because it soaks right through the fabric, and I didn't like that, so I ended up having to rip off the bottoms of all of my bases and start all over again. You know, you may like that look, but I don't like it, so I started all over. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to start putting these shoes together. Alright, I've got, what I decided to do too is because this black fabric is so thin, I decided to double up my excuse me, my interfacing because it was just too thin, so I cut out 2 more pieces, and I sewed the first 2 pieces I cut out to the one piece of this. Okay, so since I just tacked that on, that's all you have to do, and the reason you do that is so your pieces will stick together. It's easier when you start to attach it to your base. So first thing you want to do is figure out whether you want to put the tab in the middle to hold your barrette. I've already sewn this one. This was that piece of fabric that I used that was 1 by 3 inches, and basically what you do is you just fold it in half and you sew it up each side 1/4 of an inch, and then you turn it inside out. And once you turn it inside out, you have something that looks like this. Okay, and then you fold your piece in half and pin it so you know where your middle is. Okay, so then you take this and you determine how far down you want it to go, because you're going to have a 1/4 of an inch seam. So basically this one I had show about 3/4 of an inch, so I'm going to have them all show about 3/4 of an inch. So I want my middle barrette holder to go down from the top of the fabric 1 inch. Okay, so once I've got that inch on, I'm going to go ahead and just pin it in place. Okay, and then I'm just going to tack it on my sewing machine. It's going to be sewed over a few times, so you don't have to be really, you know, you're just putting it in the right place is basically all you're doing. Okay. Okay. So you can also trim off whatever you didn't use. Now, if you don't want to use that fabric and as the actual same fabric, you can use a piece of ribbon. This will work too. Just take this is rose green ribbon. It is 3/8 of an inch wide, and it's black rose green. So all you gotta do is cut a couple inches, cut it in half. Fold it in half, and you can do this the same way. Tack it right here on. The only thing is it's not going to match exactly, but if you put a barrette in your shoes, you're never really going to see this anyway. It's going to be covered by whatever barrette you're using. So it doesn't matter, whatever you want to do. It's up to you, totally up to you. Okay, next we're going to have to make our elastic strap for our shoe. This right here. You're going to take your fabric that was 4 3/4 by 1 1/4 inches, and you're going to fold it in half. Okay, so fold it in half and sew it 1/4 of an inch. Make a seam 1/4 of an inch down your strap. Okay, once you have that sewed, you're going to cut your 1/4 of an inch seam down to 1/8. So just trim it in half. And the only reason you're going to trim it in half is just so that it's easy for you to turn it inside out. Okay, let me go ahead and do that. thing about these sewing machines, if you have too little of a piece to go under it, sometimes the foot won't take it, and that's when I usually sew it by hand, or I put a piece of paper underneath and then tear the paper away. Okay, so now I'm going to cut it, trim it down, which is hard to see in this light. Gotta go get my other working light out. Okay, so I trimmed it down, and now I'm going to take a small safety pin. You want your safety pin to be big enough so the head will actually fit into the casing that you just made. Okay, and then just go down the center. It helps if you have some good lighting. Let's try it on the other side. When you get old, you lose your eyesight badly. Small things and dark colors just aren't easy to see anymore. Once you get it started, it should pull right through. There it goes. If you're really good at this and you can make a really small seam on your sewing machine or even by hand, you can just fold your fabric and iron it, and then sew it on top so you don't have to go through what I just went through. But I'm not that good on the sewing machine, so I do it the old-fashioned way. There's many things you can do. Okay, so then take your piece of elastic, which is 3 1/4 inch, and you're going to run it through the casing you just made. Another thing too, if you don't want to make your own casing, you can use bias tape. Okay, so your elastic is smaller than your fabric is. So what you want to do is just ease it into the material until you get to the point where you can just barely see the elastic, just like that. Okay, and then take a needle and thread, and you're just going to whip stitch it. Okay, alright, and then just keep doing it, and then once you finish doing that, pull it out the other side and whip stitch the other side also. Okay, and what you're going to end up with is this, and this is the strap. Okay, so what I'm going to have to do now is take my strap and attach it to the top of my smiley face, the top of my clogs. Okay, so this is what you want to do is you want the seam to go on the bottom of the shoe so it doesn't go on the top. Okay, so that means that when I turn my strap, it's going to be this way. Okay, so that means that the seam has got to be towards the inside. If I go like this and sew my strap on, when I put my shoe on, the strap is going to go straight up in the air. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to take your strap and make it so it's coming towards the edge of your fabric. So that's when you put it on the shoe, it's going to look like a real strap. If you go like this, it's going to go straight up in the air, and you don't want that. You want it to be even, like, you know, with the top of the shoe. You don't want the strap to be like this. You want it to be down like that. Okay, so first you got to decide where do you want your strap placement. So how I did it is I just went an inch out from the center. So on each side I go to find the center of your middle piece, this thing that you made, and mark an inch on each side. So just take a pin and mark where your inches would be. There's an inch there and an inch here. And so you don't, if you're going to make more than one pair of these, just mark it on your master pattern so that next time you put your strap on, you can just look at it and say, okay, that's off. That's where my strap goes on each side. Okay, alright, so then you take the part that's got the seam on it, okay, and then you're going to go like this. If you go that way with your strap, it'll turn out really in the right spot. Okay, so attach it with a pin. Okay, now take your other strap. Okay, I did that wrong. The seam's supposed to be on the inside. Okay. Okay, so there's the seam on that one. The seam on this one goes on the inside also. Okay, and I'm going to, I hope you can see this. This is dark fabric. I wanted to use the white and I ruined that video. Okay, so there's that and that, okay? So you can turn it around because there's where you're going to have your seam allowance, and then your strap is going to be like that, and I made a mistake. Alright? The seam needs to be on the outside, not the inside. So let's turn it around. Okay, so there's this one. And then turn this one around. Okay, an inch and an inch. An inch and an inch. Let me check this again. Yep, okay. Now let's turn it. And if it was going to go on the shoe, the seam will be towards the bottom like it's supposed to be, okay? So when you put the seam on, the seam goes to the outside edges, okay? So let's go ahead and secure this to this piece. Just a couple stitches, you just need a little bit. The other side. Okay, I'm going to leave these needles in for now, these pins in for now, so that when I sew it in further, because I only sewed like 1/8 of an inch. When I sew in my 1/4 of an inch, I want to make sure that I don't, it doesn't twist on me, so I'm going to leave those pins in and sew over them. My system just jammed a little bit. Okay, that's it for this video. When I come back, we'll actually put the shoe together. Okay, I'll be back.